evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast, episode number 72. A nice clean bed and 3 points. Tonight, joining me, the usual suspects. Mr. Judges, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you very much, Craig, and I'm glad you got the title right today,
Yeah, I'm glad I got it right as well. I'm actually just admiring this camera. I got a new camera, and I'm just admiring it, to be honest.
It looks very good as happens, right? You know, new camera, new glasses. You know.
I know the glasses. I know. Yeah. I was supposed to. I actually got them last week. I was supposed to wear them last week when we were doing a podcast, but I couldn't find them.
Don't want to look like a Spriller no more. You want to be like Peter Sellers, don't you? Like, that way, that's what it is. Like.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking more Clark Kent.
Clark Kent. Well, what a good call.
What a hunk. What a hunk. Good evening to you all in the chat box. Goodness me, that populated quickly. How are you all? Thank you very much for joining us. Harry, sir, how are you?
How's it going? Not bad at all. Much better, having seen Arsenal perform pretty well at the weekend. I was really pleased with that. So, yeah, feeling good.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? My esteemed guest, well, our esteemed guest this evening is a man who needs no introduction. Used to come on the podcast regularly when we were doing the Gooner Talk. We've crossed paths again and we had a little chat and we've got him back on. It's Mr. Wayne. How are you, sir?
Unbelievable scenes here, but it's great, man. Once you give it a show, Craig, I can't turn it down. No matter how bad I actually feel at the moment, I'm actually smothering. But it's,
he's not a very well boy, but he's braving it on
couldn't turn you down, Craig. I'll never leave you hanging
tonight. And in fairness, you never left me hanging ever before. It's a pleasure to have you on here, man. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Craig. It's a pleasure to be on with the lads. Lee, Harry, how are you doing, lads?
Yeah, good to hear from you, Wayne. Irish contingent today.
Yes, that's it.
Harry, it's England versus Ireland today.
Remember, if you like a bet at the weekend, please go and check out our... Remember, if you like a little bet at the weekend, go and check out our partners below in the description, Fans Bet. You might go and have a little look if you like to have a bet. Sign up. Select Arsenal as a team you support, and when it asks you for the branch, you select the Same Old Arsenal podcast, and you will be helping us along our little merry way. If you don't like to bet and you want to donate to us or donate to us, you can donate the podcast for £1. Down below, link in the description. Up to you. Obviously, we're not forcing anyone to do it, but sure, look, the option's there, so why not? And also, as you all know, you can donate to us live as we go along this evening via the Super Chat. Now, Lee, let's start with you, mate. We won 2-0. I don't suppose we really would. Should we talk about the Barté game? I think it's kind of long past now, hasn't it? You know, we won the game. Great. We're in the next round.
Yeah, that's the way. Move on. That's what we said we'd do. So
we did.
We said we'd win, and we did. weren't great, but I never thought it would be, to be honest. But what's the most important thing is we're in the next round, and we've got a team from France called Rennes or whatever like.
Is it Stade Rennais? I think that's
Rennais. So there's 6 ways to pronounce that. So I've been told, like, really? So I've got every one of them wrong so far. So there you go. So we've got them in the next round, and I think now that the next 3 games are so important to us to see where we're going to be, and we got off to the best of starts on Sunday. I thought first half was fantastic. I will say this. When I see the team, I thought, oh no, I weren't quite convinced. But Mr. Emery and the Arsenal were proved right, because I thought in that first half we was that's the best we played for a very, very long while. I know people will say, it's only Southampton, but we've played teams like Cardiff, Barté in the last few games, and Huddersfield away, and were down there and struggled. But I thought, put in a really, really good first half performance. Should have been more than 2-0 if I'll be honest. But what was good about it, Craig, was that everybody contributed, from goalkeeper to attackers. I thought some of the players that have been much maligned and criticised on every Arsenal format, if I'll be honest, not just us, all played really well. I thought Mustafi had his best game for a very, very long while. Liechtenstein, whatever his name is, had a very, very good game. He had a very good game at right back until he got injured. There's probably 2 games on the trot now that he's played well, to be fair. I thought Xhaka had a good game until his moment of madness. I was very, very impressed with Xhaka on... Considering he's been injured as well.
Record this bit.
Yeah,
I always record it. It's going out live, mate.
I thought he played really, really well. And then he does his old Xhaka moment against a good team, against a proper team. We're 2-1 and up against it. But we got away with it. And but I felt his performance deserved to get away with that, if I'll be honest. I thought he was really, really good. I have to say that Mkhitaryan also was...
Wasn't he immense?
I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah.
Touches, movement... The finish, by the way, he made that look easy. That weren't easy, by the way. He made it look easy. So all in all, a very, very good performance. Second half, not the same, but I think, if I'll be honest, that they probably took their eye, not off the ball, I would say probably one eye on Wednesday, just so you know what I mean, like let's just keep our energies up for that. And see out the game really well. I thought defended, I can recall this at all, defended quite well in the second half. So all round, I thought Torella had one of his better games as well, was back to his best as well, like, you know, so a little rest of the break has done him well to good. All in all, I thought it was a good Sunday and it was a good weekend all round, Craig, because, you know, Liverpool drew with Man United, meaning that Man United dropped a couple of points. Tottenham dropped a few points as well, and it put us into 4th place.
Absolutely, yeah, back to 4th. I mean, Harry, you know, if I'd have offered you this at the start of the season, you'd have whipped my hand off, mate, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would have. In terms of like the league position and the gap between us, well, there's no gap now, but as in the fact that we've been so close to the top 4 for the entirety of this season has been brilliant, and something that we obviously couldn't manage last season. I agree with a lot of Lee's points on yesterday's game. There were some really good performances. I thought the team played with a lot more zip, a lot more fluency yesterday, and I must admit, I was like Lee when I saw the team. I thought, what are you doing? You know, why are you messing about with it again? Why is Ozil out again? Why is Aubameyang out? And it made no sense to me, but we were proved wrong, weren't we? What do we know? Unai Emery got it absolutely spot on. And, you know, the more I watch Unai Emery and the more sort of we get to know his management style, the more I think that this is a manager who actually prefers to keep some of his big guns back, to keep people on the bench, to have an option to call upon when things maybe ain't going that well.
He started doing that, didn't he? That's what he was doing when he first came here. You know, he was Aubameyang was on the bench, Lacazette was on the bench. He was bringing them on, and they all made an impact when they come onto the pitch.
That's right, they did. And for me, I know people want to see Lacazette and Aubameyang in the same side, and it's a good problem to have, but it's really difficult to decide what to do because Aubameyang's goal record this season speaks for itself. Lacazette also chips in with goals and assists, and for me, his hold-up play is better. When he plays with his back to goal, I think we make things happen. He spins, he's sharper, and he's better in the smaller spaces, I think. And so for me, Lacazette has to be the centre forward. And then you've got Aubameyang operating from the left. I get it. You want to have them both in the team. But I think what we saw yesterday demonstrates that the team has a lot more balance when you only have one of them in the side. And now Emery's got to decide what he does here, because for me, the team looked far more fluent, and it's difficult to say what the best way is to approach this going forward. But for me, everybody played well yesterday, and Stefan Lichtsteiner gets a special mention from me. I thought that was his best game in an Arsenal shirt. He was getting forward like Hector Bellerin does, you know, not with as much quality.
Dani Alves, wasn't
he? Yeah, that's it. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. I thought Socrates was fantastic. For me, he was the man of the match. Just his organisation and what it is with him. You know, when he first came, a lot of people weren't convinced, including me. We thought he was slow. We've been proved wrong with that. We thought that maybe he wasn't very good on the ball. He seems composed enough to me. But what he's got that we don't have in the rest of the team is he's very streetwise. And I like that. He looks at forwards running onto him. He knows that maybe he's not going to keep up, that he can't deal with the trick. So he puts his body in the right places and he wins free kicks, and he's very vocal, always encouraging the rest of his team. There was a time in the first half where he came across and cleared up one of Mustafi's cock-ups. And then he sort of went over to Mustafi and kind of had a word with him, and, you know, they high-fived each other and got on with it. And I feel like he's a really popular player in the dressing room, and it's good to have someone like that at the back, someone that people trust, and he's going to take responsibility and organise us a little bit more.
Absolutely. Just before we go to Wayne, something I've got to do that I promised. I've just got a message from the missus there. My kids are watching us. So hello Rosie, hello Lily, hello Bobby, and hello to the wife. Love you all.
They'll recognise you with your glasses.
Oh, they'll love that now. They'll love that now. They'll love that. Mike in the chat has donated us €5, Lee, and he says that's your appearance fee for last night.
That's it. Thank you very much, Mike. You know what I mean? It's normally €4, so it's gone up like that.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, but me and Lee were on the Gooners pod last night with the boys in America. We had great fun. Head over to their channel now and subscribe. Follow them on Twitter and give the video a watch when you've got time. Wayne, we come back from Europa League duty. We look at the team, and Emery has, he's rotated the squad. Are you a fan of him rotating the squad? I mean, we've got some big games coming up. We've got Bournemouth on Wednesday. We've got Spurs at the weekend. A good idea, I think, to be rotating.
Well, yeah, if you have 3 games in a week, for sure, you want to get some sort of rotation in, depending on what sort of ideas he has for the North London derby. I think he probably would expect that whatever team he throws out at home against Bournemouth should be capable of taking 3 points at home, which then would leave you with the North London derby if you can get your whatever he thinks is his first 11 on the day. He was obviously going to give them some sort of a breather because he's going to need a lot of pressing. This is what he wants against Spurs. We've done it before, and I think he probably want to impose that style on them because they're struggling a little bit at the moment, and probably now is a good time to play them. Mm-hmm. Pochettino could be banned on Saturday, but I was just taking up listening to Harry talk about Socrates there, and although I agree again with Lee about the defense in 80% of the defending was pretty good, but there was still some serious gaps left, and I think but for Socrates, if Mustafi's in there with anybody else, I think we concede a couple of goals on Sunday for sure. And I think I try and imagine how better we could be as a side if we got a top class centre half alongside Socrates, and that's something that fills me with a little bit of hope for next year. That okay, he's plugging gaps one by one, and I don't see a long term future for Mustafi at the club, and possibly even Lichtsteiner as well. Even though he played well, but he's a stopgap for a season. He's just in to try and give us a dig out, I suppose, just sort of plug a gap if you want. But it's an interesting development for next year if we can get a serious top quality, error free, less clumsy centre half alongside Socrates. I think we'd concede a hell of a lot less goals, and we'd look a little bit more assured. But that said, Southampton, they had their moments. Ward-Prowse I thought was dangerous. Nathan Redmond I thought had a few chances, but we marshalled it well. We threw our bodies in the way at the right time, but with a bit of luck, they could have had a couple of goals and might have caused maybe caused a couple more problems for us. But if we can cut them out before they happen, I think that's down to personnel. I think Socrates sees these things a lot, but Mustafi is not quite on the same page as him. Maybe 50% of the time. The other 50%, he's thereabouts, and he looks as if he can manage himself, but he's so sometimes he's so incapable, and I think that's the big problem, and that's what fills me with doubt against your Spurs in these days, and that's probably one of the reasons why we're not just that little bit higher up the table, because that's the Southampton team that we lost against, and if we'd have beat them, and maybe for example West Ham away, if we'd have beat them, which I thought we could have beat them, we'd be 5 points off top. Never mind top 4.
Yeah.
That's the small margins we're talking about.
Yeah.
And,
can I ask you guys a quick question? Sorry to jump in, Craig. You mentioned Mustafi there, and that we need to replace him, and maybe his long-term future is not at the club. I was thinking yesterday, when the substitution happened, when Koscielny came on for Lichtsteiner and Mustafi moved out to right back. He has played for Germany there many times before.
Correct. Yeah.
I think Mustafi's quite. The one thing I will say is good about him, I think he's quite comfortable when in possession of the ball, and I think he's quite sharp. Is there an argument that maybe Mustafi could be a backup to Hector Bellerin going forward, that maybe that position would see him get exposed less? I know he'd need to work on it, but there is something there with Shkodran Mustafi, and I just feel like maybe that might be a good move for him.
Look, if it was down to me, I would have Mustafi as a squad player, a Pascal Segan if you want. Never quite in the starting lineup, but comes in, can maybe do a job against a poorer side, but against your bigger teams, your Manchester United's away, your Liverpool at home, your Spurs, your Chelsea's, I would be definitely inclined to look for an improvement there. And I don't think it's unfair to say that, considering that there has been a hell of a lot of errors from him this season. People will defend him, and that's fair enough, but personally speaking, I think he's made too many errors for me to actually be able to trust him in the big games. For every one good game he has against those top six, he has 5 bad ones.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So there's no point in jumping on the bandwagon when he has a good one. But he has, to me, personally speaking, he has proven that he is more incapable in the big games than he is capable in the big games. So I think if we can get somebody alongside Socrates, who, again, as Harry said, that streetwiseness, that's what you need. I just think if we can get somebody alongside with the same mentality and that same brain for football, we could shore up that defence and stop leaking goals.
Talking about the defence, Lee, let's come to you. I mean, we've got at the moment, let's say when everyone's fit, it'll be Bellerin, Socrates, another central defender, and Klosniak. Do we only need that one central defender, or do we need a new left back? Are we going to need a new right back? I mean, Hector Bellerin's out for another, God knows how long. He's not going to be back till November, I don't think. November of next season.
Yeah. So we need to strengthen in all areas. I need to, I like Harry's way of thinking there with Mustafi, if I'll be honest. You know what I mean, to come in there. But as I say, we've not got a right back. I think a decent right back till November, and there's no. What's the word? Without being horrible to Bellerin, there's no guarantee he's going to come back and be straight back to where he was. You know what I mean? It's going to take a little bit of time. So I think that we've got to go and sign the Crystal Palace right back. Don't know his name. It's
Juan Bissaka. What a player!
Well done,
Great
Wayne.
choice, Lee.
Well done. That's who I'd go for. I'd sign him.
Expensive, 40 million.
40 million. Well, he's a young kid. He's going to.
But is that expensive in today's market? I don't think it is. Is it?
It is not.
Yeah.
Worth it. It may be that we have to give him a player as well, like, you know what I mean. So maybe someone on loan or something like that. For me, it wouldn't be a bad thing if we give him Maitland-Niles for a year to develop in central midfield or something like that, or somebody of that ilk, just so that we can get that one over the line. Chilwell will come in at left back alongside Kolasinac, and I would, reluctantly sell Monreal because I think that he's coming to the end. Or if we can't keep him as a squad player, like Harry says, going to have lots of games next season. And definitely a central defender or two has got to be added, I think, because obviously Rob Holding's going to be out till about October next season. So I think that we've got to, I know we keep saying it, complete different mindset with defenders. We've got to look to change it all up, and I think that's what we want to do there. But I'm with Harry on this. If Liechtensteiner is injured over the next couple of games, because he did come off, don't really know what he come off for, Harry, do you? I don't know what it was, ankle injury or
not sure.
Just sort of went in for a tackle and then straight away said he wanted to come off. So
old age, maybe.
Maybe old age. A bit harsh.
Well, the player I was going to mention, he's popped up here in the chat now. There's a lot of people putting his name in the chat. Is Callum Chambers has got to come back?
I think he'll be sold. I think the rumours are that he'll be sold. Yeah.
I think Arsenal will be mad to sell him.
I agree.
I think that he could play central defence. I watched him again, bits and pieces of him Friday. I know that he's playing in the poor side, but he's playing that midfield role, and he plays very, very well there. He does everything that you want him to do. He's big and strong. He gets across the park. He when he gets the ball, he plays it simple. There is a role for him in this side. Whether it's a starting role, then that may be a different issue. But I don't know if we're looking at him as a central defender, maybe as a holding midfield player, and to come in there. We could then probably sell someone in the midfield and keep Chambers, or if you say like we could sell him to Crystal Palace or someone like that. I don't know, but I quite like Chambers and what he's done at Fulham. I don't think he should be quite disregarded yet. I think
he's done really well.
Yeah, it's also strange that he signed a new contract and they put him out on loan. Why did they do it?
Yeah. Well, another point comes into the chat there. Why would we hold on to dead wood? I don't know. Is he Deadwood? I'm with you there, Lee. He's gone out to Fulham. He's gone out to Fulham, and I think he's doing quite well at Fulham. But he's playing in that central, that central defensive, that holding midfielder role, and I think he's doing quite well.
I think I've spoken to a couple of Fulham fans this season who have told me that at the beginning of the season he was dreadful, and he's kind of grown into it.
Yeah.
The whole contract thing, I suspect that they would have done that to protect his value, and it's kind of because he's an English player, because of his age, he holds value. And it's like, when people talk about Mustafi being sold, he's by far probably the worst of our centre backs, but he's the only one with value. It's weird, isn't it, how some players have value when they're not necessarily your best players. So there's lots of factors. I feel like Arsenal got him to sign that contract before he went, to protect the value, given the investment that's gone into him in the past.
Yeah. Wayne, you reckon he's a player who will be sold?
I would have thought it now, but it's just the fact that he's kind of mentioned that we actually have so many bloody injuries. It's just, will they find somebody out there who's actually better than him with that kind of Premier League experience? Like, he could be a handy squad player to have, basically, if they can't find anybody else to fill the gap. But with this new sporting director coming in, who knows what kind of plans he has? Who knows what connections he has? He seems to like the lower end of the market, which suits Arsenal down to the ground. Those 5-10 million signings. So he has a massive knowledge of the French league. So we'll see if he does come in. But I think that's where they're going to be looking to find some gems in that French league, which I think there's a lot of. Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was sold. He's on quite high wages as well for a young lad. They could bring in a young French lad and put him on 30,000-40,000 a week, and they might want to go down that road. Yeah. To cut the wage bill.
Yesterday, mate. Absolutely, mate. I mean, cut the wage bill, and who knows this with rumours of Monchi coming in to be the director of football, a man who has plenty of scalps to his name, a man who bought in Dani Alves for £500,000 and sold him on for 32.5, I think, something like that. And there's a list of players that he discovered. Kondogbia being another one. Brought him in.
Phenomenal track record.
So it's exciting, and hopefully
he's got a relationship with Emery too.
Yeah, he was. I believe he was the director of Sevilla, wasn't he? When Emery was manager there, and I do believe that was when he found out Kondogbia. I think did he take him to Sevilla first? I think Kondogbia.
I think he has played for them, if I'm not completely mistaken.
I'm pretty sure he played.
I'll
for them.
check. I'll check.
I'm pretty sure he played for them. It's going to cost us $3 million to get him. Nothing is done yet. I was reading a report in the newspaper today. Nothing is done yet, but Monchi is said to be keen in joining the Arsenal. So at the end of the season, hopefully we'll get a bit more on that. Two players we haven't mentioned yet who I thought had a brilliant game. One being the Nigerian Ronaldo. I thought Alex Iwobi had a great game yesterday. And I thought Mkhitaryan had an absolute stormer. Lee, are we about, we've said it before, and we've said it before, and it hasn't quite happened, but Mkhitaryan looks like he might have had a little word with himself and putting himself around the scruff of the neck.
Well, I think maybe he's had a look at himself while he was injured or whatever. I think that he's come back. I thought he done really well against Huddersfield in his first game back, but people, myself included, said, "Oh well, it's only Huddersfield," but he had a very, very good game there. Had an awful game at Barca away, but then he's come back with two real strong performances. And I have to say, I thought his all-round play, not just his goal, but I thought he took that really well. His movement, his touch, his work rate, as you said, putting in tackles as well. Got injured.
The assist as well.
Tackle. Then the assist as well. So I thought he was really up there in terms of performance. I felt that, I thought all front three, particularly in the first half, the movement, the pace, the touch of the two wide players, Iwobi and Mkhitaryan, was first class. The hold-up play of Lacazette was superb. But it was all three of them were fantastic. Then you had the runs of Aaron Ramsey coming from deep, which I stretch Southampton one way, which, this is a team, Southampton, people say, oh, Southampton, went and got a draw at Stamford Bridge 0-0, were hard to break down. We broke them down at will yesterday. So I think you've got to look at the positives from that. And I thought that Mkhitaryan was, over the course of the 90 minutes, probably our best attacking player. I think that Lacazette and Iwobi were outstanding in the first half, but sort of dipped in the second half. I'm not having a go at for that, but I felt they did. But I felt Mkhitaryan was the one that kept going all game. It was I loved the way him and Ramsey hunt down a couple of players on one side, and then I looked at it. It was Iwobi hunting down with Ramsey on another side, and then when they got the ball, they looked to cause mayhem, and I thought that Iwobi gets a lot of stick, and quite rightly so with his last ball. But I thought he put in some good passes and all that yesterday, and he looked really good as well. So but now I'm very long may it continue with Mkhitaryan. Yeah. I feel like he needs to up his game, Craig. He really does, because I think that
there's a player in there, Lee, isn't there?
There is a player in there. There is a player in there, but if he doesn't start producing it like he is, then, as Harry was saying about value of players, he's one that has got a bit of value that we could out, if he don't. But like everyone in an Arsenal shirt, I want him to be successful, and hopefully he'll come to the fray now and join the party, as they say.
Well, Wayne, Alex Iwobi. I mean, we talk about poor old Alex every week. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I thought he had a great game yesterday. Got the ball, drove us forward again. Just at the last moments, his decision making, that final pass wasn't great. But again, with Alex Iwobi, I mean, 3 weeks ago I sat here and I said, I didn't understand what Alex Iwobi was all about. I didn't understand why he was still an Arsenal player. But since I've said that, he obviously watches a podcast. After I said that, he's upped it, and he looks, he looks like that. Again, I'll say the same with him about Mkhitaryan. There's a player in there, the Nigerian Ronaldo.
Yeah, he just needs. I swear, he almost has every ingredient, almost. But the one thing that a top player has above anything is composure, and I just think he lacks that at the key moments, and that's what separates him right now. Maybe because he's a young lad, and he might develop that as he gets older. But to be fair, he needs to develop it very, very quickly because we haven't got time to wait. But if he just composes himself a little, sometimes I get the impression with the kind of the old anecdote, the hot potato on a spoon. This or the hot, like the football is almost like a hot potato on his feet. It's just bouncing. It's not quite stuck to him, and it's just like you're like, just calm yourself down for a second, lad. There's a ball on there, and then he just lets himself down after doing all the hard work. But yesterday, granted, he got a little bit lucky for the assist for Mkhitaryan. It kind of took a deflection more so, but maybe he did deserve that, a little bit of luck. That said, he was very industrious. He is a type of player that drives into the box, and that's something that you need. And all he has to do is just develop that composure for that final ball. If he does that, he almost has everything. He just needs to add goals to his game then. Actually, I don't even care if he doesn't add goals to his game. If he adds that final ball, we don't need his goals, because that's you're gonna have an end product to that player anyway. So it's not going to bother me too much if he doesn't chip in with goals. But if he has that little bit of composure, he's almost got everything else. I mean, he puts himself in the right positions. He sees the right balls, the right passes, but he just doesn't seem to be able to execute them. Even I wouldn't even say 60% of the time. If he got 60, 70%, of those final balls on point, you'd say, okay, that's decent enough output. But he seems to be more on the 30 to 40% bracket, and 60% of them go wrong. Whereas if he can turn that around and get himself into a position where, 9 times or 7 times out of 10, that guy's going to put it on a plate for somebody, well, then we definitely have a player there. But I think at the moment, Saturday or Sunday will help. He's on the right track. He's getting a bit of confidence, but he just needs to compose himself a little bit better. This is just my opinion. Yeah, I think once he does that, I think, yes, I agree, there is a serious player there.
Absolutely, I don't agree. I agree. I mean, look, he's made me eat humble pie the last 3 weeks. I think he's been, like you said, he can be our best player on the pitch sometimes.
Picked up an injury yesterday, though.
Yeah,
so I don't know
hopefully it's not too. Yeah, hopefully it's not too bad.
Looked a bit like cramp. I I'm not too sure.
But picked up a little knock on his ankle. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe it has.
Emery did say though in his post-match that he should be all right for Wednesday. So fingers crossed.
Good.
My man Unai.
My man Unai, yeah. I just want to give a shout out to Leno as well yesterday, being in the goalkeepers union. I thought he had a fantastic game.
Great game.
Kept us in it there at 0-0.
Impressed with him this season. I'm very impressed with him this season.
I'm impressed with him because I think he's had a good first season. Normally when you see a goalkeeper come in from a different league, they have a shocker. I mean, look at David De Gea when he first came to England. I mean, he was awful. Talks about selling him after the first season. So I think he deserves a lot of credit yesterday, and he pulled off some really, really good saves. He seems to be settling in, and he seems to be kind of finding his way. But what about Mr. Alexandre Lacazette, Harry? He became the first player to score 4 goals in a row at home. The last player to do that for us was Robin van Persie, which is quite an amazing stat, to be honest. That was the last striker to score 4 goals in a row at the Emirates Stadium. Lacazette has done that. And yesterday, when he put that ball over the bar, the look on his face is as if he'd missed the chance to win the Champions League in a penalty shootout or something. That's great to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And there was a moment, wasn't there, in the second half where it looked as though he was going to come off. I think his number was about to go up, and then Alex Iwobi ended up going off instead because he picked up that knock. But the people next to me in the ground were going, "Oh, look at his attitude; it's terrible." That is a guy that wants to play football, that wants to be on the pitch. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and I think that. I think that people should stop even talking about that, to be honest. I think it is quite clear that he'd like to play more games and get more time than he has this season. And you could argue that he's deserved probably more game time than he's got, particularly at the beginning of the season when Emery was only playing one of the two up front. But for me, he holds the ball up a lot better than Lacazette. He's a lot busier, than Aubameyang. He's a lot busier around the edge of the box, and he links up with people better. So... let's see. They've both got attributes that are useful. Lacazette, for me, gets in and amongst defences and turns them into chaos, basically, because he's so sharp and he presses people. And how often this season have you seen Alex Lacazette press a defender and concede a foul? I mean, it seems to happen 3-4 times a game now. But that shows his desire to win the ball back high up the pitch, and he's bought into the Emery way, the high press. So, he's improved magnificently this season. I must admit, last season I was a little bit unsure about him. I thought he's a decent striker, but is he good enough to lead the line for Arsenal? I think this season he's been fantastic, and there's an argument that he could be our player of the season up to now.
Absolutely. I mean, he's scored now against 18 of the 22 Premier League clubs. It's just amazing. He's only been here, has he been here 2 full seasons? I think he can be the man to lead us. I really do. I love him. Over the last 4 or 5 months, he's really grown on me. Here's a question for you, Wayne. Who's got the most points won at home this year? Who do you reckon?
Man City.
Yeah. Who's second?
Liverpool.
Well, there's actually 2 teams in second.
We're there, aren't we?
We are. We are. The most points won at home this year, Manchester City 39, and in second place, Arsenal and Liverpool on 35. What have you got to say about that? I mean, Wayne, if we could have sorted out the defence, where could we be?
I'm telling you, I mean, look at the small margins. You take that Southampton away game, the Crystal Palace game, that Mustafi madness moment, that drop, that's another 2 points dropped. I mean, we've literally dropped so many stupid points. I mean, you can accept games where you get bashed, like Anfield. Okay, that's a hammering, right? But other games there, we could have picked up 3 points, and it's not the worst season. To be fair, we're over exaggerating the worst moments we've had, and not really kind of appreciating that we're having a transitional season that by all standards isn't too bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, Lee, another good stat, Lee judges. Since losing to Manchester City, we've been unbeaten at home.
Well, that was the first game of the season.
Yeah, we've won 11 and drawn 2. And drew to
Wolves.
Yeah.
Who's the other draw against?
I don't know. I can't.
At Liverpool.
Liverpool, yeah.
Oh, Liverpool, yeah, yes.
And in those 13 games, there's a 7-win run.
Do you know what though? And that's how it should be.
But I wanted to bring up these stats tonight because, you know, of the people that are hammering Emery. These are good stats.
They are very good stats.
Do you know? I mean,
what's the annoying thing is, from my point of view, if we had just sorted our defence out, how much closer we could be to our goal. You know what I mean? As Wayne just said, you know what I mean? Sloppy goals. You know what I mean?
That's what they are. It's sloppiness. It's not even.
It's not just a game. It's not just those sorts of Brighton away, 1-0 up. You know what I mean? Should have probably been 2 or 3-0 up with Bellingham catch up. One long ball from our attack from our corner, and we're 1-on-1 and get beaten and concede a sloppy goal. 2 points drop. Brighton since Christmas and since that result have been on free fall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't think there's ever been an issue. I don't think, if I'll be honest, I don't think it was much of an issue last season under Wenger at home. I think we had a good home record last season as well. Yeah. It's the away form, and as everybody will tell you, that when you go away from home, it's a completely different ball game to home. It's you have to defend and you have to put bodies on the line, and you also have to have some sort of game plan to break teams down, to defend against teams and then hit them on the counter attack. And we have, Craig, the ammunition to hit most teams on the break with the pace and power that we've got. It is just about defending, and we've been sloppy on many, many occasions. And I will say, you know, and I don't want to be negative on this thing, but we've also got knocked out of both domestic cups at home. You know what I mean? So, you know, there are, you know, this is the problem I have with stats. You know what I mean? Like, you can put the stats in your favour and you can put them against you. You know what I mean? And we've still got Man United to play, which is a massive game for us at home. We have got to win that game because we are at home. It's as simple as that. And then we would have done a very, very good job on Man United in the context of going away from home and getting a point there and coming at home and beating them. But we must take 3 points at home against them. You know, I honestly think that our next 3 games will define our season, Craig. I really do. I think that if
it's getting to that point, isn't it?
It is, yeah. If we,
it is.
I mean, come out,
we've got
with 7 points in those games. You know, we're in for a real good end of the season.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that now. Lose to Tottenham, lose to Man United, it all fades out, and that's how important it is. But the one key thing that I think was very, very important, we're building up a little bit of momentum. We're looking a little bit more confident. If we can get the result against Bournemouth, which is no give me, we can get that, move on to Spurs, and let's bloody give it a go there. See if we can, you know, take
that's
them.
That's the thing. There's no point in going there and setting up with a back 5 and trying to defend, because we don't have the tools to do that. And that's been my criticism of Emery over the past few months, has been that, you know, yes, there are a lot of positives, but you started the season one way, it was going well. After 1 or 2 results, you completely changed your way of playing. And that's where I've got frustrated. He's gone back to basics now, back to the 4-2-3-1. He left Aubameyang out the other day and played one striker like he was doing at the beginning of the season. And we saw more creativity. Football is all about balance. You can have 11 of the best individuals in the world, but if you don't have the right balance, you won't achieve anything. The thing with this Arsenal squad is it's very top heavy. You know, people can talk about the squad being weak. When you look at yesterday, we won a Premier League game with Ozil, Aubameyang, Denis Suarez from Barcelona, all sitting on the bench. Koscielny, seasoned professional, sitting on the bench. So there is a squad there, but it's top heavy. So in that case, what you need to do, in my opinion anyway, and the approach needs to be, play to your strengths. Play to your strengths. You know, if we go out there and we lose 3-2, then we 3-2. We knew that Arsenal couldn't defend at the start of the season. I don't think anyone's going to sit there and pick on Emery because the defenders aren't good enough, because we understand that a lot of them, you know, were there from before he even arrived and are just not up to standard. So for me, it's about using the tools that you've got and trying to get the maximum out of this team. And in my view, and you guys might disagree, the only way to get the maximum out of this team is to play fluid, attacking football.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which we did in the first half yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've seen it this season. We have seen that fluid attacking football, but just not enough. Wayne, I mean, like 3 games we go into. We've got Bournemouth on Wednesday. We've got Spurs at the weekend, and then the week after we've got Manchester United. Realistically, Wayne, how many points should we be getting out of those 3 games?
Minimum 5.
Minimum.
You'd have to, like, I mean, if you're going to be making big plans, Champions League football, and have ambitions, you have to be taking minimum 5, if not 7 out of those 3. Manchester United are also struggling with injuries. I think eventually Solskjaer's luck is going to run out, and I just pray that it's the day that we turn up. You know what I mean? You can't keep winning. You can't. Like,
no, I'm with you there.
You genuinely can't keep winning.
Yeah.
I just hope that that's the day that we turn up and, we take the 3 points there. So Spurs also in a bit of a dodgy patch. If Pochettino's not on the sideline again, it could make things a little bit more difficult for them. But it seems to be all falling in our lap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we have the balls to take these chances, we may just be able to kick on. Imagine if we get 9 points out of this 3. That will kill Manchester United.
Yes,
that will kill them.
It would. And it would kill. I mean, if that would happen, we'd be right up the. We find ourselves right up Spurs' Jacksies as well if we took the 9.
Well, you'd be odds on to get top 4 then. I'd say at that point.
You would. You absolutely would. But I think the hardest game out of those 3 is going to be Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Maybe,
yeah.
Bournemouth are coming down. Safe.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah, they're safe. Nothing to lose. They like to play against us and all, don't they?
Tidy little side.
They are a tidy
They've done very well.
It's a big game Wednesday. I'll tell you why it's a big game, because not only is it a big game for us, but we've got Tottenham playing Chelsea. So one of whatever, if we win on Wednesday night, whatever result on that game suits us. Whatever result it is, you know what I mean? Like it gets us closer to 3rd if Spurs lose. If they both drop points, great. And if Tottenham beat them, then it puts us further away from Chelsea. So it's a win-win-win situation game for us. There's also a difficult game for Manchester United with all their injuries now, going to a very, very confident Crystal Palace side who have improved over the last few weeks. So they're going to be a hard nut to crack. You know what I mean? So possibilities that they could drop points there. Not saying that they're going to, but possibilities that they can. And all of a sudden, we've been on the coattails of 4th. We'd be right in it. And then is the 2 crunch games. If it works out our way and we win on Wednesday, forget about the other results. If we win on Wednesday, then we have got to go to Tottenham and Manchester United and stay unbeaten. Now, 2 draws wouldn't be the end of the world. But what we have got to do is stay unbeaten in those 2 games. It's as simple as that. We cannot, I know it sounds silly. If we lose to Spurs and we beat Man United, get more points. We get 3 points instead of 2. But for the complex of the thing is that we could still, if Chelsea were to beat Tottenham and we then can get a draw against Tottenham, they're still in our sights. You know what I mean? And so we've got to go to Spurs and get something. You know what I mean? And then back it up. Obviously, we've got the Europa League game in between that. We still don't know if it's home or away. I think they're saying it's home, but Rennes appealed against it. But we've got to go to France, and then we've got to come back, and we have got to take Manchester United to the sword. Now, Manchester United, I think, showed a little bit of desperation by bringing in Lingard instead of Sanchez on Sunday, because he's obviously just come back from injury. His hamstring's gone again, so he's gone. He's out of the equation. Certainly, the other 2 players that went off injured have gone. They're out of the equation. And I also think that Rashford could be out of the equation for the next couple of games, because apparently he's got a bad ankle injury, so he's doubtful for Wednesday.
That's right, yeah.
They're going to a game, where they're vulnerable, and we look like we're getting players back, looking a little bit energised. I certainly see that on Sunday. And you have to say, boys, I'm going to have to bring it up now. You know what I mean? What happened in the cup final has put Chelsea in a completely different scenario. What's going to happen with them? Not just maybe 1 or 2 games, but over the long term, they're in. I think what happened yesterday, they're going to be in disarray. So. We've really got an opportunity now to get into this top 4 and stay in it. And I really mean that. And, it's no good going to Bournemouth and not getting the 3 points. We've got to. That's all that matters at the moment. Making sure we get the 3 points. And I know it sounds silly. People turn around and go, "Oh, if we just scrape through." I'm saying it on here now. I don't give a monkeys if we scrape through. As long as we get 3 points, I don't give a monkeys how well we play or not. I want 3 points on Wednesday night, and then we can have a look at our phones and see what's gone on down in other places. But it's important Wednesday that we get the 3 points.
Absolutely.
They must get a mobile signal in the hospitality boxes then, Judge, because I can't get nowhere.
Well, you get your own Wi-Fi in there.
They do.
Yeah.
Right. United still have to play Chelsea as well. So and City.
Yeah, like you said, Wayne, it could all fall onto our laps.
Yeah, we just have to be there to take the chances when they
United as well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. United and United have to play Chelsea as well.
Yeah, so they do. So, and Liverpool, Tottenham have got to go to Liverpool and Manchester City. So, not only could fourth be there, we could be banging on the old third place in the next couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Lee's right.
Got to beat Spurs at Spurs.
I think Lee's right where he says that it's about not getting beat because you got to think, yes, you'll get points and whatever by more points by winning one and losing one, but it's stopping the other teams getting the points, and a draw leaves you in the same position. That's what it's all about for me. If we took 5 points out of this, I'd be happy with it because we'd have stopped United and stopped, assuming that Bournemouth was the one we won, we'd have stopped those two sides getting another 2 points ahead of us. So that's, for me, that's the key. Just don't get beat. At the end of the day, our fixtures are probably better than the others. So let's not get beat, and then let's hope to make up the points in the other games against the lesser opposition.
Absolutely. Good evening to you all in the comment section. Thank you very much.
Exciting, isn't it?
It is exciting. It is. I mean, there's good evening to you all watching us live. 255 of you. Goodness me.
That's what happens when you get the big dog on, Craig.
That's it, mate. This is it. We'll have to keep bringing him on. Get your questions in the comments. We're going to start on some questions. We'll go to this one first. Liam AFC6. Thank you for your question, mate. It's going to pop up on the screen now. There it is. Liam AFC6 says if you could win only one game, but only one game out of Spurs or Manchester United, which one is it you want to win, Lee?
There's only there ain't no. I mean, if we were to beat, if we were to beat Tottenham away and lose to Manchester United, as painful as it be, I would be able to accept that.
Yes, I would be able to accept that too. Beating Spurs and losing to Man United, I'd accept that. Absolutely, Harry.
I'd take the Spurs win.
Yeah. Just
because they are just no more Spurs fans.
That's it.
Well, you see, actually,
too much.
It's different for me and Wayne because living in Ireland, and I'm sure Wayne will tell you, Arsenal fans are the minority. It's either Liverpool or Manchester United over here.
100%.
So I absolutely know loads of Man United fans. But it's got to be Spurs. Got to be beating Spurs. Has got to be the main name there. Wayne?
Yeah, Spurs. I think if you can beat Spurs, I mean, you'd like to hope that the rest takes care of itself. Then all you can do is just keep taking as many points as you can. But beating Spurs is just that's number one priority. Without a shadow of a doubt. Even though I have money bets on with Manchester United friends of mine, but it's Spurs all day. I think Manchester United. I think we're gonna do them this year, man.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. This one comes in from Lee Farrell. Good evening to you, mate. That's going to pop on the screen. Good afternoon, Lee, or good evening, good morning, wherever it is you are. He's actually in Dublin as well, isn't he? Lee's a good.
Lee's an old dub, yeah.
Does Ozil start versus Spurs and Manchester United? Wayne, we'll come to you first for that one.
Yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
You know what? I genuinely.
Harry's fighting at the bit. He's fighting at the bit.
I'd start him for sure. Yeah, I think he's maybe all that rest. He just might be ready to peak for the rest of the season. Maybe we might see the best Mesut Ozil now between now and the end of the season. It's a possibility. So I'd be willing to take the chance on him. I think he's. I don't know. Not everybody might agree, but I would be I would be taking a chance with him.
The judge is shaking his head. I don't know if
No.
Harry?
Absolutely.
Oh, there's a shock.
Absolutely. Listen, I think if any, did you see that touch yesterday?
I did.
The one that put. I mean, what a fantastic touch that was. That is the level of class that nobody else in our squad has, and
Agreed.
If you're the manager and you can select the team, well, I know I keep going on about balance, but if you can find the right balance in the rest of the team, you can accommodate Mesut Ozil. There's far more. There's other players in the past that have had even less work rate than Mesut Ozil that have been accommodated in great teams. So it can be done. I'd like to see it happen because I think he can make that magic moment that you need to win those sort of games, and that's all it takes, isn't it? One moment. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang pretty much does jack shit every week and then pops up with a goal. Nobody ever says anything about that. But
very true.
When it's Mesut Ozil, it's a big deal. So for me, he's the best player at Arsenal Football Club, and so he's got to start. You've got to start your best players.
This one comes in from Alex.
You can ask me.
No, because I'm asking you this question.
Well, I want to answer that one.
Well, go on then, answer that one then.
He's going to say start Ramsey.
Yeah. Go on then. Lee Judges, would you start Mesut Ozil against Manchester United and Spurs?
No.
Right, okay, next question.
Oh, shock.
Yeah, shock.
I'd start Mesut Ozil against Bournemouth, and I'd start him against Manchester United at home. But away from home, I would go for a more hard-working team, bring him on the last 20 minutes to do what he done in that game when Spurs were a little bit tired. Get him on then to pick a pocket or two. That's what I would do.
I like that. I like that description. This one comes in from Alex, and he says, "Seeing as Denis Suarez hasn't played any more than 20 minutes in any of his appearances, would you make his transfer permanent at the end of the season still?"
Listen, he's been brought in to replace Aaron Ramsey. That's how I see it. And I think that he's been brought in now to get used to the surroundings of Arsenal, get used to the lifestyle, get somewhere to live, learn a little bit of the language so that he's hits the ground running next season. That's the only reason that I can see that we signed him. If, for instance, we sign it, he goes back to Barcelona at the end of the season without us signing him and all that, it's the most ridiculous signing that Arsenal have made for a very, very long while, and whoever sanctioned it deserves to be shot.
It's got to be up there with the Kim Kallstrom signing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. But I think it's certainly looking on long term, trying to get him into the set system, working, training, and everything like that, so that next season he hits the ground running in that Aaron Ramsey role, because that's what he is a replace. Because it just makes no sense whatsoever why we signed him.
Yeah. Okay, let's bring this next one in. Bill, thank you very much, sir, for your kind donation. It's getting a weekly occurrence now, isn't it? Thank you very much indeed, sir. We really, really appreciate it. Going off...
couple of cheeseburgers?
Definitely got enough for a couple of cheeseburgers there. Well, we've got enough
Thursday.
For five double cheeseburgers off the pound saver menu.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah. Do you guys think that social media is driving the wedge between our fan base? Rather than talking about it in the cafe or in the pub? Well, I'd like to start on that one. Only Arsenal Twitter is like it is. I follow a few other fans of different clubs. I've got mates who support Spurs. He doesn't go on like Arsenal fans, Man United fans. I've got friends who support nearly every teams in the league, and they always saying to me, "God, your tweets are always arguing with someone." I'm like, well, yeah, that's about as that's what we do. We argue with each other. We don't argue with opposing fans or anything like that. We argue with each other. There's always got to be something. There's always got to be some divide. It was Wenger in, Wenger out. Now it's Mercer in, Mercer out. It's ridiculous. Harry, I'm going to put my neck on the line here, but I think Arsenal Twitter has got to be the best for comedic value, anyway.
You're part of it.
Well, I know, but did you see those silly videos I put up this afternoon?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, But a fella come along and he put underneath it, "You're a grown man," and I was like,
So
"Yeah, so what?" An Arsenal fan. Oh, God's sake, embarrassing our fan base again. You're a fucking grown man, mate. Oh my God. I mean,
I think personally speaking, what annoys me more, and I think it's become more prevalent over this season, is the ability for certain sections to build up agendas on players, and obviously managers as well at the same time. But like, say for example, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, Xhaka, obviously, I enjoyed Xhaka. I thought he had a very good game. You get one account pulls up a clip of Xhaka making a bad pass, and his tweet is, "How the fuck is Granit Xhaka still playing for this club?"
I saw that. Yeah,
that's one bad pass.
I saw it. Yeah,
one bad pass, and then you know what I mean. And then you have a load of people liking it underneath it, and then all these like 16, 17-year-old kids like giving it, like, "Oh, this guy's a joke," or the whatever, the retarded Alonso, whatever they want to call it. It's just it's really childish kind of stuff. But I mean, that's what you're dealing with now. It's agenda-based trollism. You know what I mean? People want to be controversial for attention. So
I don't know. Sorry, Wayne. There's a very unprofessional judges here.
I can't help it like that. I can't believe it.
He's probably looking at the video you had of the.
I thought it was funny. And I listen to what Wayne's got to say there, and he's dead right about people, you know what I mean? But my argument to that is, why comment on it, you know what I mean? He's just looking for a reaction, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. But
no, I mean, I wouldn't bother commenting on it. I just scroll past it. But
what
I'm saying is that
I do. I don't even waste.
There's a lot of it going on social media, and I just think it's very unhealthy for, how can you ever have a united fan base if there's so many people that no matter what good a player or a manager can do, it doesn't matter what they do, they're always going to have that agenda. I mean, that's where the social media is very, very, is very much to blame for driving that wedge between the fan base because of that. I think people, sometimes they don't even believe what they're saying, but they just want to be controversial for that, for the reason, for the attention, for extra followers, whatever they want to do, and they're just using the club as a kind of a vehicle to get themselves more controversial clicks, get themselves into a big account or whatever they want to do. But that's where I think it's going. It's and the club are being used as a as a stick to be beaten with.
I think as well, though. I think it's the thing with social media, in particular Twitter, is that there's no accountability for what you do. So most of Twitter, there's people hiding behind avatars of footballers. Their name is not really their name.
Vikings.
Exactly. And it's all because you can hide behind that. People just take advantage of that. And I see some horrible tweets. I've been getting loads of them lately because I've criticised Unai Emery a few times lately. But do you know what? I read loads of shit that I don't agree with on a daily basis, and I just scroll past it, man. And I don't get... The thing with Arsenal fans is everybody thinks they know everything. Well, we don't. We're just fans. We have an opinion, and it's an opinion that you might disagree with, and that's absolutely fine. But in that case, scroll past it. Don't follow them, whatever. But people just seem to want to have a go. Like I just think of some of these people. I imagine that they just scroll through Twitter and they stop at every single tweet and say something for the sake of it, because that's how it feels sometimes. And tweet your opinions. Those who agree with you and like your opinions will follow you. Those who don't won't. It's as simple as that. And, you can have a debate with some people and they'll start saying things that you didn't even say. They'll start turning it around and that's the thing with Twitter, because everyone's just so heated and angry. It's like, go on.
So the good thing about it, like, you get yourself on Instagram, guys, because you just put a photo up and no one really abuses it. You know what I mean? Like,
that's it.
It's so much nicer on Instagram. It really is. But I also think with Twitter, you can use it to your advantage and have it. If you just use, it could be a great thing. It is funny though on Twitter that someone you don't know can say something and can wind you up so much. You know what I mean? Like, it's unbelievable, really. Like, but if you can use Twitter to your advantage and choose it to a good thing, it can get you things. You know what I mean? Like, and it can be really good and fun. And I've met friends that now I can say that are friends through Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, I've got a very, very good mate now called Russ, who lived round a corner from Twitter, and it was his birthday, and he the story goes, it's his birthday on I'm going to get shot here. It's Christmas Eve, I think, his birthday, and he said, "Come out for a drink." I've never met the guy before, and I had my brother over, and Michelle said, "What do you want to go and meet him for? You don't even know him." And I said, "No, he's a nice guy. He seems a really nice guy." You know what I mean? So, cut a long story short, went out to drink with him, and now he comes on all the tiny tours. He's in the groups. He's one of the most nicest guys I've ever met. Him and his wife Jenny. So watches the show every time. So hello. And through Twitter, that I've got a great friendship with him now, which has brought us on to other people into the group, and we have a great people that we go with. Like there's another fella called Red Ken. I don't know if you know him on Twitter.
Yeah. Ken's a great lad.
Absolute. Through Twitter, got to know him. Again, another Cheshunt lad, lives in Cheshunt now. We go to games together, and he's an absolute diamond of a bloke. You know what I mean? And because of Twitter, I've now met two guys that I go Arsenal, we share experiences with, and it's not just about meeting and talking to the professional footballers and things like that. The ordinary guys that go Arsenal with all that. And let's face it, if it weren't for Twitter, none of us would know each other.
True.
True. And I've gone to games with Harry now, and me and Craig, great friends, and how great is it? I feel like I know Wayne, and he lives in Ireland. You know what I mean? So there are good things, and you have to, if you can just focus on the good things. Social media can be a wonderful thing, but Instagram's the one to go on. I say that.
Instagram seems to be. What's this now? This one comes in from Alex Wilden. I'm going to try and read this one here now. Question: I love our team for over 40 years. How do you think Super Mac would do in our team now?
Oh, Super Mac. They won't remember him. They won't, you know what I mean? They think it's a bloody double cheeseburger or something like that.
Well, that's what I thought. Yeah.
A mega burger like that.
I thought it was Hamburglar in it from the Wimpy.
Yeah.
So
Malcolm McDonald, as he was known, was he comes to Arsenal for a big profile, and I remember Super Mac, you know what I mean? Left foot, big thunderous fires, scored a few goals, but got injured and done his knee in, and it allowed Frank Stapleton and Alan Sunderland to forge a partnership which took us to the 79 Cup final. If I'm right, Malcolm McDonald played in the 78 one, which we lost.
Yeah, 76 to 78 he was at Arsenal.
So he played in the 78 one and lost, and then got injured in that season. And Frank Stapleton, I think, and Alan Sunderland, I think it was Alan Sunderland that took over from him, and they forged a partnership which went on for a few seasons. But Super Mac, yeah, good play. Do you know what would be very, very similar to Aguero is now? What I would make him, but was a top goal scorer. If I'm correct, scored 5 goals for England. And I don't know if he played after that. Unbelievable, but scored 5 goals for England.
I think it was. I've got it on the screen. It was 6. So that's a great shout.
6.
Yeah, very close. Very good.
Judge is on fire.
Impressed.
On fire.
Yeah.
Look at this question. We got a question from Gona Russ. Thank you very much. He's given us another 5 double cheeseburgers off the £1 menu. Thank you very much. That's 10 each. That's 10. That's 5 each.
Cheers, Russ.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you very much. Great podcast. Thank you very much, Russell. We're glad you enjoy it. What goes on social media has been going on in the pubs and on the tube, to and from games and work, discussing and cussing managers, etc. He's dead right, isn't he? Because before we had Twitter, before we had Facebook, it was at work or in the pub or, I mean, yeah, exactly.
But you couldn't hide. Everyone knew whoever you were cussing knew who you were. That's the thing I don't like. I don't like these accounts where they're like, it's some bullshit name and an avatar of some random action figure or something, and then they're piping up, and it's like, mate, who are you? Like, if you want to talk properly, then show yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, the greatest thing is look, what I think is that me and Harry, we don't agree with everything said.
Nothing.
We certainly don't.
No, I'm sorry.
We don't.
I'm sorry. One of my buddies is in the chat room and he's fucking
But we don't
being a
agree with
div.
it all the time. But we can have a conversation about it, and I guarantee we're not going to fall out over it or
Exactly.
call each other using mums' names and things like that or whatever. And that's what the ridiculous thing about it. You know what I mean? He's got an opinion about Mesut Ozil and Xhaka and all that, and his opinion is not wrong because it's his opinion. My opinion is slightly different, but it's not wrong neither because it's my opinion. But we all agree Spurs are shit. There you go.
Yeah, this is it.
So, and that's what people have got to realise. We're all Arsenal fans. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing: is Arsenal be successful. That's all it is. That's
Okay.
by the way.
Question. I've lost it. I can't find it anywhere. I'm so sorry to the person that asked it. I just can't find where it is. But Wayne, will come to you, mate. It was we're missing when we were talking about the defence earlier, and we're talking about Bayern and the defender and this, that, and the other. What about Mavropanos and Socrates? Could it be could it be the Bret Hart and Owen Hart of the football world?
It's the jury's out. I'd have to see a little bit more of him, to be honest with you, before I decide, personally speaking, if I can, sit there and go through a whole season with him as a centre half. Like, I'd have to see what he's capable of on a 5 or 6 games on the bounce and see, is he another Mustafi or is he another Socrates? So I don't think we've got to the bottom of that yet. We don't really know what kind of a player he is, really. I think he's a big lad. He's 6'3" or 4", whatever he is. A big unit, can play a bit of football. He looks the part, but under pressure and on a rainy night in Stoke or whatever you want to call it. But does he have the minerals? Like he's got everything to prove. Like, rather than just being a big guy. Like, physical. Physique wise, he's all there. But I'd like to see 3 or 4 good games of him. 90 minutes and get a good look at him. I genuinely have no idea what really kind of a centre half he is. Even though he's here a good while now, can anybody really say that he's put in enough games for us to make a real call on him?
No, absolutely not. I have watched him a couple of times on in the under-23s, and I've read a couple of reports on him from Lave, who works for the Islington Gazette. Now he talks him up lovely. Lave saying that he could really.
I know, but there's a big difference between going under 23s and top class Premier League.
Absolutely. United last year, by the way.
He did, absolutely. Correct, but what I want to know, what I want to start seeing is, I want to start seeing us trying them. Do you know? There's no point in not just keeping them in the under 23s and not
risky at the moment, Craig. Risky at the moment. Not enough game time under him since his injury. We're going for top 4.
Yeah, I'm not talking about now.
When are you talking about? Next season?
Yes.
Definitely.
Did you ask the question? Did you listen to the question now?
Sorry, I didn't.
No.
Just saying,
Obviously not.
I think next season is a definite. As I said, I think that he's got a great chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
The pre-season coming into it, but you're talking about. I'd love to see him coming now, but I just don't think that's going to happen. But listen, you are quite a lot live. Fucking, I've got that wrong and all now. But he does big him up.
Yeah. He's watching him every week.
Being shit in the under 23s, by the way. You've got to start playing well in that, and then. But what I'm going to say this now. Another baffling decision. Why didn't they stick him out on loan?
Yeah.
This January.
It's not a bad show, actually. Yeah.
Why? He's not going to. Wasn't part of the Europa League. Not going to get any league games. Another funny decision as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. George Eggleston, thank you very much for your donation of 79 pence. And you're telling us, spend it wisely, boys. Come here, that's another burger. Do you know what I mean?
French fries.
Or fries, yeah. We don't mind. It all adds up.
It all adds up. Thank you very much.
We could be having a feast before the podcast is finished. And that question about Mavropanos was from Always a Gooner. So thank you very much indeed for that question, and thanks for making yourself known. It was a good question. Yeah, so I think we're going to say goodbye.
It's gone quick, hasn't it?
It's 8:45, mate. We've been going for an hour and 15.
I can't believe it.
I know, unbelievable. Thank you very much to everyone who's been watching us live. Peaked
That's
at nearly
lovely.
300 tonight. So again, it's getting a bit. It's getting what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent. Is what consistent numbers.
We'll be on the BBC soon.
I
I'll tell you.
Do you know last week over 10,000 people across the board listened to this podcast?
That's incredible.
Going
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, it's mad support.
You can expect those numbers to double tonight, Craig, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. We've got the Mac Daddies on, you know.
They're all home. They've all gone home early in Dublin, you know. They've all gone home early.
That's it. Is anyone in the chat going to Islington on Thursday? Is anyone going to the Islington Sports Bar and Grill on Thursday? Let's have a look in the chat if anyone's going. Tickets are sold out.
Sold, are they? Sold out.
Sold out,
pressure.
yeah. Tickets
Pressure,
are sold
Harry. We're
out,
under
yeah.
pressure.
Under pressure. I better dress nice.
Yeah, you better. Tickets sold out. So yeah, Lee and Harry and
Clobber.
Lee, Harry and Graham will be there on Thursday night. So yeah.
I nearly. Can I just have a little story? I see. I know I'm mean, but I should have done it now. But I see Graham on Sunday, and he said, "Oh, what are you wearing?" So I said, "A suit." So he went, "Oh, you really?" So I said, "Yeah, suits, 3-piece with tie." He went, "Oh, I'll have to wear mine then." I should have let it go, shouldn't I?
No, you can't.
But I couldn't be. I couldn't be.
I've got to say, Graham texted me late on Saturday night as well and asked me what I was wearing as well, and but I didn't have the heart to do that.
So what did you tell him?
He actually turned up like John Travolta, because I imagine he's got a white suit and all that. You know what I mean? Flares. You know what I mean? Like, and it turned up. I would have felt really bad, like, you know what I mean? And so I in the end, I was honest and said, "No, come casual."
Good.
Yeah, I said to him, jeans and a shirt. I said I'd wear. We'll see. Depends what the wife's ironed this week.
So let's get quick score predictions from you. It's something I've actually forgotten to do. So Lee, Bournemouth.
2-1.
Harry, Bournemouth.
1-0.
I'm going to go 3-1. Wayne, Bournemouth.
A 3-0 at home win, and I'd like to wish a happy retirement to Abu Diaby as well.
Is he retired?
Tonight.
Oh. That's sad news. Yes, Abu Dhabi. If you're watching it on replay.
What's a player he was, by the way,
player.
before he got injured?
Absolutely ruined by
I've never seen him play at Liverpool and absolutely run the show.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
And would have been not as good as Patrick Vieira, would have been in the same mould him at one stage. He was an absolute beast of a player. Yeah. What a shame. Yeah, that's sad news, that is.
Yeah. What about Tottenham? Tottenham away.
Who's going first?
Lee Judges.
I'm going to go for a bold 1-1. I'm going to go for it. I think.
How is that bold?
Huh?
How is that bold?
You've seen us in the last couple of times. I'll tell you what, I've had 10 hats going there in the last couple of years. You know what I mean? We got away with it in the last 2 seasons. They're a good side, but listen, any top team going away from home is going to be hard. But so 1-1.
Nigel agrees with you. Nigel says 1-1. Thanks very much for doing the chat again, Nigel. Thanks very much.
Nigel. Thank you, Nigel. Man knows what he's on about.
Nigel's actually going to be on with us next week.
Brilliant.
Yeah, because it's Nigel's 40th birthday. So
happy birthday. There you go.
Yeah, Nigel's coming on next week. He's going to be talking. He's going to be talking about Spurs with us, and the return of Graham. You'll all be delighted to know Graham is coming back. He'll be back on Monday. His roster's changed. In his suit. Harry, Spurs away.
Spurs away. I'm going to go. I think we're going to get beat. I think we're going to lose 2-1. But just quickly, someone's put in the comments for Lee to dry clean Graham's white suit, so it's looking sharp.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 win at Wembley.
Oh, very bold.
Wayne?
Very bold. Very bold.
Wayne, what do you reckon? Spurs away?
I agree with Lee. 1-1.
1-1. Okay. There you go. There you have it. I hope you've all enjoyed the podcast this evening. Thank you very much for all your support. As you know, as I say after every video, it's great. Thank you very much indeed. If you like what you're hearing, please, retweet it, share it, like it.
Give it the like button.
Yeah, the like button. Give the like button. Yeah, smash the like button, man. Yeah, hit the notification bell so you get notified when we go live. All that crack, all that malarkey. If you're going down to the Islington Sports Bar and Grill on Thursday night, have a great night. I shall be sitting at home watching it on watching it on Facebook, making sure the lads do me proud in there. I'm sure they will. I'm sure Lee at least mentioned my name once. Hopefully.
No, we'll definitely mention you. Don't worry about that, lot. No?
Yeah.
I think we should get T-shirts with Craig's face on it.
Yeah.
If you're going to that, have a good night. It seems it's going to be a great night. Lee's going to be there. Harry's going to be there. Graham will be there. Gav from She Wore a Yellow Ribbon will be there, selling his merchandise, and also the Gooner fanzine is going to be there as well, selling the magazine. So get down there and support it. Like I said, if you've got a ticket, well done. The tickets are out. If you've got a ticket, well done. It's all for free. So yeah, have a good night, everyone. Until we see you all again, take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll see you next time, next Monday, after we've played Bournemouth and after we've played the Unclean from down the road. So until next time, up the Arsenal.
Down you Gunners.
All the best.
Oh, I do this every week. I have to press the button twice now. I forgot. Up the Arsenal.